Well, hello everybody. Welcome to the video. My name is Brian, and today I want to talk about my top 10 wealth building tips for Gen Z. The reason I came up with this and the reason it is so specific is this. When I was young, I wanted to build wealth. But we didn't have computers back then. I had no idea where to start, how to start, nothing. So I decided that I would put the top 10 wealth building tips in an easy to understand format so that if you're Gen Z, you can come here and you can get all the information. And just so you know, part of our ministry is helping Gen Z with their finances, so I have a lot of experience with this. Now, the first and foremost tip I have for you is you need to determine how bad do you want it. Because if you do it right and you want to get it done in 10 to 12 years, which by the way is very possible, and by getting it done I mean becoming a millionaire, starting with zero. 10 to 12 years if you're willing to go all in. Some of the sacrifices you might face is delayed gratification, eating ramen noodles. And by the way, there's nothing wrong with ramen noodles. I love me some ramen noodles. But living as frugally as you can. And that takes me to my second tip, which is to live like a college student for the next 10 years. And that means you don't buy clothes, you don't go out to eat, you walk or ride a bike if you can, or take public transportation. Try not to spend any money on cars. Pretend like you're in college, which is diametrically opposed to tip number 3. Don't go to college. Now, I know this goes against what everybody thinks. In my generation, we all went to college because we thought we'd get a leg up. Well, guess what? If everybody's got a leg up, then nobody has a leg up. I figured that out. So if you would spend the years that you would be in college following these tips, by the time your friends get out of college and start paying their debt, you'll be worth $1 million. In your 20s, work as many hours as you can. And I'll give you that old saying that it doesn't matter what you make, it's what you save. It's true. It's absolutely true. All that matters is how bad do you want it. I make $17 an hour, and in 8 years, I've paid off debt, and I'm worth $300,000. In 5 years. 5 years. In 8 years, I will be a millionaire. The next tip, tip number 5, is to automate your savings. And I hear you saying right now, but I don't have any savings. Well, get a job and then save every penny that you can. But make it automated. Because if you don't automate it, what ends up happening is you end up saving what's left over at the end of the month. Instead of, if it's automated, you'll live on what's left over at the end of the month. Savings is the priority. You cannot save yourself to wealth, but you can save yourself to purchase investments which will build you wealth. But it starts with savings. Tip number 6, zero-based budgeting. What I mean by that is you start every month planning on spending zero. Now, you might be saying, well, what about housing? As I said earlier, how bad do you want it? Go find a job where housing is provided. Maintenance. Hotel cleaning. Painting. Apartment management. Places, there are many jobs that have free places for you to live. That way you don't have to spend money on living arrangements. That's one of the advantages that I have. The place where I live, I don't have to pay for it. It's part of my pay for my job. So the money I would normally spend on housing, I save. Tip number 7, in your 20s, one of the best things you can do to help you build wealth is build your credit. even if you have a part-time job, build your credit. Now there's many ways to do that, and you can find many videos on how to build your credit, but you need to have credit because the further on your journey you get, you're going to require good credit. Not just average, but good credit. So start now when you don't need it, so that when you need it, it'll be there. Tip number 8, build an emergency fund. Now I've done these in kind of an order, and the reason the emergency fund is so far down on the list, number 8, is because you're in your 20s. And if you're in your 20s, there shouldn't be too many emergencies that's going to come your way. So get your ducks in a row, get your attitude right, get your living arrangement done, and then when you get a job, start building your emergency fund. How much do you need? I don't know. I know Dave Ramsey says $1,000 a month, and I think that's silly. I think 40 years ago that would have been good. I would say $3,000 to $5,000 right now would be a decent emergency fund. And you really only need that in your 20s if you've got an automobile. So you determine what is best for you. My recommendation, if you're in your 20s, is probably $1,000 to $3,000 is probably fine. But if you own an automobile, I'd go $3,000 to $5,000. Number 9, and here's where we get down to the nitty and the gritty. We've spent all this time doing all these other things. Now it's time to start investing. So you say, well, what kind of investments? Well, that really depends on you. And I'll tell you what I've told the other Gen Zers I've helped. Do you want to become an active investor and be aggressive with your growth? Or do you want to take the slow, steady route and be passive with your investing? If you want to be passive and hands-off and you don't want to think about it or fool with it, it'll take you 30 or 40 years to become a millionaire. But just put it in the S&P 500 index fund. Just put everything you can in there and let it ride for the next 30 years. You will eventually become a millionaire. But if you want to be aggressive and hands-on and do it in 10 to 12 years, you probably need to do real estate. And that's why you're going to need to build good credit. So you have to answer that question. And to do it in 10 to 12 years, real estate is going to be the way to get there. And I've done many videos on how to do real estate if you know nothing about real estate. It's very easy as long as you do the right steps and do it the right way. And my last tip, number 10, and this one is very important for Gen Z because you're starting out. No monthly bills. I said this in a video one time and somebody says, yeah, but you got sales tax. Okay, let me be a little bit more specific. No ongoing monthly bills. No credit cards. It's okay to use credit cards, pay them off at the end of the month. That, by the way, that's a great hack if you do it properly. No ongoing monthly bills. No mortgage payment, no car payment, no credit cards, no personal loans, no nothing. Like I said, you start every month planning on spending $0. And don't accumulate any monthly bills because every monthly bill that you have is taking money away from your future. So I'm going to read these down again real quick. The top 10 wealth building tips for Gen Z. First off, you got to figure out how bad do you want it. Live like a college student. Don't go to college. Work as many hours as you can at the job. And again, it does not matter how much you make. It matters how much you save. Automate your savings. Live on a zero-based budgeting. Start your emergency fund. Start investing. And no monthly bills. You do those and you take the aggressive route to investing and you will be a millionaire in 10 to 12 years as long as you're all in and willing to do what it takes to get there. Well, you guys have a great day, a great week, and we will see you in the next video. By the way, if you found any value in this and you'd like to continue to get our content, please consider subscribing to the channel and liking the video. We'll see ya.